é que você sente a plateia brasileira? Aliás, plateia muda de país para país?
Yeah, you feel the character of the country. And Brazil, when we look at it from England, we see the carnival, we see everybody plays music, we see everybody very rhythmic, we see people dancing in the streets, and we see a love of music and guitars that is very attractive. So you expect the Brazilians to be a party audience. In fact, I expect most Latin American countries to be like that. And places like Spain, Italia, south of France, where the weather's good, the people tend to be a little crazier. Where the weather's cold, like Sweden or Norway, they're a little more reserved, or England. They're a little, I think it's something to do with the weather.
Isso tudo você acha que é sacrifício e quanto você acha que é prêmio?
When we started the tour, I would have agreed with you. I would say, yeah, tours are very tiring. But strange thing about this tour is I seem to get less tired. At the beginning of a tour, there's a lot of nerves that are very tiring. You've got your first night, you've got the critics, and the band is just starting to learn the show. So that's the difficult time. I'm actually not tired at all. I mean, I allow myself to be tired after a show. I go have a couple of drinks and get real tired.
What do you drink?
What do I drink? Well, you buying?
Why not?
Yeah, I normally drink scotch and Coca-Cola.
A sua turnê começou quase ano atrás. O que mudou nela do princípio até agora?
The band has got better.
Really?
Yeah, because the more you play together, you just get better as a band. We changed some of the set. You get an opportunity to just lose one number, bring another in. And when we did the album, Paul is Live, I left a couple of songs off that. So I left them out of the set, and then we changed things a little bit. Songs and the playing of the band is the main difference. Just to change the show a little bit.
Então você reconhece uma evolução musical do princípio até agora, é isso?
Precisely, my dear. Precisely.
Militante das causas ecológicas. Quanto isso é importante para você?
It's as important for me as it is for everybody in the world. If people want to deal with other subjects and not the environment, then we must reach a point where there's no place to deal with subjects because it'll all be gone. So I think it's the most important subject at the moment because all other subjects can't exist without a place to do it. If you look at the moon, it's a kind of grey dust. If you look at Mars, the next planet, it's kind of red dust. If you look at this planet, it's beautiful. Brazil, tropical rainforests, beaches, water, fresh mountain streams, the moon, the sun. It's so perfect. It's so perfect to raise people like us, human beings, that I think it's just the craziest thing in the world. Through greed, and it's only through money, that we mess it up. So I'm very, very keen. I praise Brazil because I think Brazil's done a lot of environmental work in the last few years, and I think that other countries should help Brazil to retain its rainforest. It's not easy because it's an economic thing, but I think it's essential. And I think if we spoil this world, we'll prove ourselves to be the stupidest species on Earth. People may look at a sheep or a pig and go, stupid animal. Or they may look at a dog and kick it and say, stupid. But if they let this planet go, they'll prove themselves to be much more stupid than any of those animals, because those animals don't do it. When was the last time you saw a deer pollute anything?
Os Beatles resolveram parar com as turnês mundiais. O que estava acontecendo? Vocês estavam fisicamente estressados, artisticamente estressados, ou a relação entre vocês é que estava estressada?
It wasn't a problem when the Beatles stopped touring, but when the Beatles broke up, that was a stress. When there was no more Beatles, that was a great stress for me, because it was just sad, because it had been my favorite group. And so it was sad to be parting, but we all felt that we had to do something else in the world. You know, we'd been schoolboys, then Beatles, and well, then you had to be, you know, maybe married or get a relationship with someone for a long-lasting relationship. You can't just stay four boyfriends forever. You know, it's very difficult. It's like when you're in the army together. You know, you get guys who really love each other in the army. They're real mates. But then they go home and they drift apart, you know, and we'd reached that point. So that was sad. That was when the stress came in, not when we finished touring.
O que você esperava, você que é da geração que quis mudar o mundo?
I think the good thing about the 60s was that until then, it was a very authoritarian world where there were these very big, important people, and then there were generally just lots of other people, you, me, and we weren't really important. I don't think we mattered. We were just cannon fodder, or we were just workers. And these very important people used to tell us. I think in the 60s, I think that all changed. And I think people started to think for themselves. And people like me, my parents never had a car or TV. I'm from a very ordinary area in Liverpool. I started to think for myself, and I started to think, maybe I know as much as any of these other people. And I've met Maggie Thatcher, I've met Harold Wilson, I've met many of these very important politicians. I don't think they're any more intelligent than I am. And no, I don't. In fact, it's always very surprising when you see them, how ordinary they seem. They always look a little shorter than they do on television. I met Prince Charles. I thought he was going to be much bigger than me, but I'm taller than him.
Se permite. Você sai com frequência? Você vai às ruas, vai a restaurantes, essas coisas?
Sure, yeah. I often do. It's an attitude of mind. If you come to a place like Sao Paulo and you're doing a big, big concert, then you excite publicity. If I just go into a restaurant and nobody knows I'm coming, the other guests will just look up and be a bit curious. But what are they going to do? They can't run over to me. They think they're being cool too, so they sit, they have their meal. Somebody may come over and say, can I have an autograph or something? But I think it's to do with your attitude. I think people know when I'm private. I look like I want to be private.